Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Ascension Parish Board of Adjustment meeting for September 23rd, 2008. I'm Howard Dalton, the chairman, and we'll start with the roll call of the members. Mr. Brad Walker, vice chairman.
Present.
Ms. Kathy DeSater.
Present.
Mr. Jim Cecil.
Present.
Mr. Bryce Cox is absent. Mr. David LeBlanc is absent as well, and I am here, I think. We'll move on to the public comment period, and for those of you that are not familiar with what this is a period where the public can speak to the operation of this board. This is not a time where you would speak to a specific issue on the agenda tonight. Having said that, is there anyone who wishes to speak during the public comment period? There appearing to be none, we'll move on. Can I have a motion from the board regarding the minutes from August 2006?
So moved. Second.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of August 2006. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Minutes are accepted. May I have a motion regarding the acceptance of the written decisions for August 26th?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the written decisions of August 26th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. They're accepted. We'll start the consideration of our variances, but before we do that, just for the information of everyone here, we're going to attempt to adhere to the 3-minute rule tonight, which means that an applicant will have an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes regarding their variance request. Those that wish to contest or speak against it, either for or against, will have 3 minutes as well, and after which the applicant will have 3 minutes for rebuttal. We're going to try to stick to that so we can move along in a timely fashion. Having said that, if I could read my own wonk, stopwatch, okay. Having said that, if the first item is 1924.08, where is it on here? For Ina Ray Carpenter, item located on LA Highway 422, approximately 800 feet east of Amy Acres Road. Please sign in, and once you've done that, state your name and explain why you think this variance should be granted.
My name is Scott Lobel. I'm with Lobel Engineering and Land Surveying. I represent the heirs of Mr. Walter V. Carpenter. Tonight we would like to respectfully request the board's approval with a waiver for the minimum lot area required by zone, because Mr. Carpenter had 3 children and they would each like to enjoy a portion of their father's property, but the size of his property didn't allow for it to be broken down into 3 1-acre lots. That's why we requesting a waiver.
So just to clear this up, you're subdividing the property due to a death in the family so that the heirs can share equally.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll turn this over to the board members. Do any board members have any questions of this applicant?
No, sir. No. Yeah. Well, I do. So you currently got 2 lots, one at 1.4 acres, and what's the size of the other lot? And you're going into 3 lots, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Walter V. Carpenter had given a 60-foot strip to his son, which is Walter D. Carpenter, at a later point in time, and we just didn't indicate the size of that acreage.
Okay. But that's included in what you're trying to split up, that one along with the 1.4, yes. And you're splitting it into 3 equal. And there are 2 residents on there now?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members?
Motion for a public hearing.
Second.
Okay, public hearing is open. At this point in time, sir, if you'd step aside for a second. Is anyone here wishing to speak for or against this variance request from the public?
Close public hearing.
Second.
Public hearing is closed. Sorry that no one spoke. There's no need for a rebuttal unless you just wish to say something further.
I'll make a motion to approve as written.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this variance request is written. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Sir, you got your variance.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is zoning review ID 1925. It's lot 168, Bayou Terrace Estates, second filing, and Tract U, Canal Bank subdivision, second filing for Morris Pollara and Clarence Halpins and Houston Everett Gibson. State your name, please, sir, and of course, remember the 3-minute thing.
My name is Morris Pollara. I own the lot 168. My neighbor next door is Mr. Gibson and Mr. Halpin. Most of the lots out there run 80 by 200, but mine is at the tail end of the subdivision where a township line runs through, so I have this triangular shaped lot. I bought it about the house and the lot about 3 years ago, and I've been wanting to square that off for some period of time now, and finally got together with Mr. Gibson, and he agreed to let me have that little triangular portion. And then if you see the other, what they're going to look like, it's two rectangular lots. So basically, we're just adjusting the common property line from an angle to a perpendicular to the road. And I'm gaining some property. I'm going to pay him for that, but that's basically what we're doing. The total size of the two lots together was about 1.2 acres. His lot was about 0.8 of an acre, and mine was about less than 0.4. We'll each now have a little over a half acre per rectangle. So that's, and as I understand it, we need your approval to, that constitutes a variance, and I'm asking for your approval to do that.
Okay.
Are there currently any structures on either one of these properties?
No, there are no structures. And this is that property that's on the back side that no residences will go in there.
It's mostly garages or sheds.
Garages
Yeah.
and storage sheds.
Okay.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Public hearing is open. This is the point where if anyone wishes to speak for or against this man's petition. There appearing none, can we close?
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Public hearing is closed. Sir, again, if there's no one spoke, there's no real need for rebuttal. Do I hear a motion for this?
I'm going to move that we approve as written. We've handled a number of requests on that side of the street. Those are mostly for service structures to service the residents, and I think this will be a wise usage of the property.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of this variance request as written. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Variance is granted, sir.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is zoning review ID 1926, located on the south side of Ultima Plaza Boulevard, approximately 650 feet east of Airline Highway, to request variance of the Ascension Parish Development Code for off-street parking standards. You've signed in. Please state your name and why this variance should be granted, please.
My name is Tanya Lurie, and I'm opening a new daycare facility in Ultima Plaza, and I'm requesting that I have a variance granted to me on the no dust ordinance that is required by the parish that would require me to concrete the entire parking lot. I'm asking that I be allowed to gravel the right side of the parking lot, if not the whole right side, at least where the actual cars would park and not the drive area. A daycare is not an assembly type program like a school is. There's approximately 15 employees that come in once a day and leave once a day. It wouldn't consist of the whole daycare, which is over 100 kids. They wouldn't be driving through the graveled area. Their area would be in the front of the daycare, which would be concrete.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, before I ask for questions, there's one I have. You told me what you want to do, but you didn't state any hardship as to why this variance should be granted. Is this a monetary issue or what?
No, sir. I have gone through Ascension Parish and checked out other daycare facilities that are relatively new to see how their parking lots were designed. And a lot of them, I did see that they had the gravel where the cars actually sit. And just in keeping with the no dust ordinance and thinking about a school and thinking about the traffic going through with all the rest of not wanting to bother neighboring businesses.
Board members have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Couple of questions. Where in Ultima Plaza Boulevard is this located? Is this behind the strip mall, or?
It is. We extended the road 120 feet,
Okay.
and we will be directly behind the Smoothie King.
Okay. And then, are you asking for a reduction in parking, or just converting it to limestone?
Actually, I was asking for both, the reduction by 25%, which I think is allowed in the articles. And again, it's because a daycare is not an assembly facility. Our parents come, they're there at the center for an average of 2 to 4 minutes during the drop-off and pickup times, and that's spread over a period in the morning. Kids come in from 6:30 to 9:30, so it's a staggered entrance and exit in the afternoon. And the required number of parking spots in operating a daycare for 6 years, I know will never be utilized.
On your map, which section of parking are you talking about limestone? Like this section here?
That's correct. The front side of the building, where
right
the
here.
circular driveway is, would still be concrete.
So all this would be concreted, even this section over here?
That's correct.
So you're looking for like just this section here?
That's correct. Only adjacent to the building.
This section.
Okay.
Are you asking for a period of time, or are you asking for this parking never to be converted to concrete?
If a period of time would be allowed, we would be happy with that also.
How many kids would this facility hold?
Approximately 150.
Any other questions by board members?
So she's doing
Not right.
away with this.
So you're required to have
Unless you want limestone
44,
or something.
and you're actually asking to have 30 or 33?
I just knew that I could get a reduction of 25%. With my employees parking down the right side of the building in the proposed gravel spots, the circular driveway should hold 8 cars at any given time. And when the parents, they're instructed to drive through to the end, bring their child in, come out, exit, it kind of keeps a steady flow along the circular driveway. The only time our parents ever park and come in without doing that is a new parent coming to view the facility, which happens several times a week, maybe 2 at a time, but never more than that.
And are you sharing this parking in front of your building with any of the other businesses?
No, ma'am, it's my
Okay.
parking lot exclusively.
So what you're saying is you never have any parents stop and come in to say a matter of paying a bill or anything like that?
We have a tuition drop box in the office where they drop their checks in. Occasionally, they might have an issue that they want to talk to a teacher about that might keep them there longer than 2 to 4 minutes. It's not, most of the time it's not. They
Do
call
you
us
ever
during
have
the
a
day.
teacher day or teacher conference day or anything like that?
Once a year, we have pre-K graduation.
Okay,
where-
that's what I'm getting at. I mean,
When we-
would
I'm
you
sorry.
have adequate parking for that?
Yes, sir. When we have pre-K graduation, we only graduate approximately 15 to 17 kids a year, and that's the one night per year, similar to a kindergarten graduation. But other than that, there's not there's no different type of celebration or anything that would require all the kids or all the parents there at the same time.
Thank you.
move that, oh, you got another question?
Yeah, I got one question. I'm looking on this map here. It says that it should be 44 parking spots required, but on this plan I've only counted 30. Am I missing somewhere? Do what?
There's 30. The owners have planned 30 parking spaces, but the parking requirement is 44.
Okay.
Is there room for 44 places? No.
On the left.
Okay.
There's some green space in the back that I see, possibly in the back. Exactly how it narrows down, and there's a 15-foot rear drainage servitude, how much they can actually get, because it triangles down.
And the rear green areas actually are part of our play area. We're required by the state to have a certain square footage of play area.
There to
14.
okay.
And then that'd leave 18 in the front.
18 or 19.
Any
12,
questions
I'm on
by board
12.
members?
There's 12 on the side?
12 on this side, right here.
Discussion.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Public hearing is open. Is anyone in the audience who wishes to speak for or against this application?
Close public hearing.
Second.
Public hearing is now closed. There's no sense for rebuttal. Again, no one spoke. So do we have a motion from a board member?
Well, my biggest issue is that I don't want to give a permanent waiver of dust-free, even though I think we're trying to get the parish to a certain standard, and that's why we have the ordinances, is to make sure that for the future that we're not allowing some of the things that were grandfathered probably in the past. I think there's 12 spaces to the front of the building. Is that correct?
Well, from here on side. This
On
is the
the
front
side?
here. Isn't this the
So-
front?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is the front
Right.
because of the circular drive. We're counting 12 that can be on the side without coming in front of your building. And apparently you can only get 30 around the building safely.
Mr. Chairman, 30 is not acceptable. It doesn't. You don't have the authority to grant the variance more than 25%, which if the ordinance is
25% would bring her to what?
33
33.
at the least.
Well, that being the case, then I want to ask the zoning and planning people why this variance is presented to us in this manner.
It says that the zoning commission can grant the 25%, not the Board of Adjustments.
So we can't even grant 25%.
You can anything above 25%.
We can grant anything above 25%.
Right.
So we would have to, she would have to do at least 34?
No, he said
She'd have to do at least 33.
33.
Okay, well, what...
Wait, but is Lance saying that we can variance her more parking or not? Okay, because that's the Planning and Zoning Commission that's got the limit of 25%.
We don't have a limit.
We don't have that limit.
Okay. O'Neill, you agree with that?
I'll agree with Lance.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to move is...
I wanted to say one thing that I'm thinking a little bit, I think along the lines of yours, is that I necessarily wouldn't want to see the limestone and the dust. Okay, but I would see that too. This is also in a shopping center, so technically if they need to have overflow in front, the strip mall has plenty. But what I'm saying though is I'd rather see this green space for kids on the side of this building than parking. I mean, you have 150 kids and you got a playground to the left.
But then we're going
And
to
a little in the back?
And she has 18 in the front?
Yeah.
And you can live with 18 spaces? Okay. And if we granted 18 spaces, you would agree to keep this as a green area and not put limestone in there? Okay.
Yeah, because we'll put the stipulation that it has to remain green space.
Wait. Are you saying eliminate all the parking up the side altogether?
Not all the time. Look at my
We're
square.
saying she would have 18 spaces in the front of the building.
From building up.
She
this
would
way.
not have anything from the sidewalk back on the side except green
I don't know if they
area.
can zoom.
Now, are you going to need, is that,
Let me go show them what I'm talking about.
yeah, oh, we're talking about it's right there.
So what would be the proposed number
Well-
of parking spaces remaining?
18.
That's over a 50% reduction.
But she's part of a shopping center, so there's actually, what, you're shaking your head.
It's not a walkable shopping center. It's not like the shopping center was designed to share parking with the daycare that's behind it by 250 feet. I mean, it's not like it's adjacent to that parking lot.
Okay, let me ask one more question. Are you going to need rear access or rear side access to this building? Okay.
Even if 18 is too low of a number, if I just added 5 and kept half of that area green space and had the other half as additional parking, just for a couple of extra, that would be wonderful also. I mean, that would give me a large amount of green space to add to my playground.
Okay. How about go to 24?
I agree with that.
Okay.
I think that's reasonable there. I was kind of iffy on 18.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we approve that you can reduce your parking spaces to 24 and that the additional area be kept as green space.
Are these paved parking spaces?
Paved parking
Yes,
space.
All
paved. It's all paved, no limestone.
We have a motion that for 24 parking spaces, all paved. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, we made a motion second.
Okay. The motion is approved. You've got your variance, ma'am, for 24 paved parking spaces.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is review ID 1927.08. Located at the south side of Prairie Drive, approximately 550 foot east of Prairie Oak Lane. Ernest and Diane Allen.
Where's that button?
My name is Ernest Allen. I'm the homeowner at 37397 Prairie Drive. I'm looking for a variance to erect a building in the rear of my property, measuring 22 foot wide by 40 foot long. The reason for the variance is because I'm proposing to put this building up within the setbacks or the building lines. The side line, I think, is 12 foot, and the rear line is 25 foot. On the drawing that I had made up from the draftsman, and this again is just a proposal, the one edge of the corner of the building would be 5 foot from the side property line, and the rear of the building would be just a little under 9'6" from the rear property line. The reason for putting the building there is to try to gain as much access as I can, to build as big a building as I can, and positioning the building so that I can actually drive into the building. It would be a double carport with a workshop in the rear.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, sir. Do the board members have any questions of this applicant?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand his diagram to the lot.
The plot plan?
Yes, right now you're talking about lot 76A or 75A?
Mine is 76A.
Okay,
Sure.
the building construction will be of,
The building construction would be to match the home. The front of the building would be brick. I would have a garage door in the front to cover the double-car carport, and the rest of the construction would match the existing house.
okay, which is mostly
is-
stucco or brick?
No, it's brick. It would be a brick front, and there's a lapboard rear.
Okay, and the sides are going to be lapboard also?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the height of this building going to be? Will it be approximately the same height as your
Approximately the same height
home?
as the existing home.
What currently borders you to the back that you're going to be close to?
Yeah, there's a fence to the rear of the property, and there's a fence to the other side. So there's a fence on either side.
Yeah,
Okay.
but what other
There's a
structure?
home.
Oh, there's another home. There's another home directly behind me.
Okay.
There's a home directly on the side of me.
This is a boat port plus workshop?
I'm sorry?
This is a boat port plus
Yes.
workshop?
Yeah, it's a double-car carport and a workshop in the rear.
The workshop is going to be personal?
Yes. Yes, this is strictly personal.
Well, Mr. Allen, I have a question.
Sure.
Because I'm looking at this plot plan
Okay?
that you provided us, and I'm orienting it the same way as this plot plan of 67A with the house in the same position.
Okay, let me pull that one out. Okay?
Let me ask my question, if you don't mind. So you're proposing with that, at the rear of your property,
Okay.
the workshop is going to be 5 foot from the property line.
That would be on the east side of the property.
That's correct. In other words, it's going to be in line with your existing concrete driveway.
Correct. Yeah, correct. That's right. It would be just off the edge of the concrete. Actually, at the concrete, it's going to probably end up being more like 7 to 8 feet. Because the lot's sitting angular at that point.
But let me
Right.
finish my question.
Sure.
You're going to access this boat port from which side? You're going to come across the existing 6-foot concrete walk? Or are you going
No.
to come in from the side?
I'm going to come in from the front of the
You're
property.
going to come down your driveway
Correct.
across this existing concrete walk?
Correct. That's
Okay.
right.
Just want to make sure I
That's right.
understood how you were going to
Right.
access that thing.
Right.
Thank you. Any other questions from board members?
And you're going to be 5 foot off the sidewall, the side property line, correct?
Correct.
Is that what you're
Correct.
asking us to do?
Well, actually, we can't. There's a 10-foot servitude on the
Yeah,
back.
that's what I was saying. There's a servitude.
When I'm asking right here.
Well, I know,
Is
but
that
on the
what
other
he's
property.
asking?
That's what it looks like. He's asking. Yeah, because it says right here, 9 foot, requesting a variance of 11 feet. Should put it at 9 foot for the property line. There's a 10-foot servitude, so the minimum we could do would be 10 feet.
That's the rear.
Yeah.
Because we can't touch that servitude.
Oh,
Oh, that's
where?
what I saw, too. I thought I saw 7.5.
7.5 on the rear, you're correct.
Yeah, there is no side servitude.
Oh, on the front. Never mind.
Right, but
Right.
that's what I was
Right.
asking.
You
He's
gotta
going to be
look at
5
the-
foot on the side.
That's where he's talking
Okay.
about 7.5 on the
Upside down,
back.
Actually, to see the
Okay.
position.
It's only 10 on the front. Yeah.
Yeah, the rear servitude is 7.5 feet.
This is confusing.
Request open public hearing.
Second.
Kathy, do you have any more questions before we do that?
No.
Okay, public hearing is open. This is where anyone in the audience can speak for or against this. If there's someone wishing to speak, please come in and sign in, state your name, and you have the same 3-minute time window.
It's kind of strange.
If I could ever hit the start button.
Hi, I'm Rob Beadle. I live in the house just to the rear of Mr. Allen's house.
Lot 69?
I didn't bring my plot drone with me, so that's right. Directly behind me, yes.
Okay.
I talked to him today about what his plans were. I tried to get on the website. I couldn't get any information off the website. So I talked to him a little today about his garage, and he told me if I thought he was crazy to come over here and let you guys know. I don't think he's crazy. He's a good neighbor, but you know, our subdivision rules say 25 feet setback from that back property line, and our lots are odd shaped. I have a small lot too, but I wouldn't propose to build into that servitude, and I'm just kind of worried that having a garage 9 feet off my gate is just going to detriment to my backyard. I'm just kind of worried about it.
I don't want to cut you short, but you do understand that neighborhood restrictions, that kind of thing, that's a civil issue. We do not enforce that. We have no say over that. So go ahead.
So I'm just asking you guys to follow whatever the code is. I think the code's referenced in our stuff too.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Sir, you have you can have 3 minutes for rebuttal if you'd care to speak to this.
Well, you know, I don't plan to have any bad tidings with my neighbors whatsoever. All I'm trying to do is put up as much building as I possibly can and not interfere with my neighbors. I will say this, though. If I surveyed this neighborhood, my neighbor directly next to me, the corner of his property, his house is probably less than 10 feet from the existing property line. So, you know, there's a lot of discrepancies, if you will, in that neighborhood. And again, I'm not making a big case for it. And I'm willing to compromise with my neighbors and with myself. If I had to move it up a little bit and get within restrictions, I'm perfectly okay with that. I have no intention of upsetting my neighbors.
So, any questions from board members of this applicant?
Yes.
Sir, there's some questions from board members.
So what you're telling me, what I understand you just said, was that you're willing to move that building up to go in with the standard that's set by Ascension Parish.
If that were the ruling of this committee, I could live with it. I'd like to have as much depth as I could to try to get my building, put as much building as I could. Request to get the variance, but if we had to go with what the code was, then I'm okay with that.
Okay. Because it sounded like to me you were rescinding, and that's where's my question.
Yeah.
I have a question. If you're willing to do that, why couldn't you relocate the proposed workshop to be on the side of the boat port?
On the side?
Uh-huh.
Well,
behind it.
Yeah, what I was trying to do was end up with two parking places under roof. Is what I was trying to achieve.
Right.
And that's why I wanted the building and the shop at the rear of it. I was trying to end up with 2 parking places
In the boat port.
in a boat port.
But I'm not suggesting you change the boat port. I'm suggesting that you move the
instead of making
workshop to the side of it, so it's more behind your house instead of behind the boat port.
Maybe 20 instead of 22 foot wide. 40 feet wide, or
maybe 34.
yeah.
I mean, that way you wouldn't have to have a variance at all.
Yeah. But what about on the other side? What about on the sideline?
You don't need the 5 foot.
Yeah, you don't
You're
need the
okay
5.
on that side.
Okay.
Now, of course, and your neighbor brought up a point. You do understand that even if we gave you a variance, that doesn't change the subdivision restrictions.
Right. No, I understand that.
All right.
I'm just trying to see if he does put it 34 wide, does that back corner still need somewhat of a variance? I ain't
It
got no
shouldn't, because you're taking off
dimensions.
12 foot, and he's already proposing to be 9.5.
Yeah, but 9.5 to semi the corner. Because lots catty cornered there.
Yeah, he may be closer right there than 9.5.
Any other questions by board members? No. Do I hear a motion regarding this application?
I'm going to make a motion to disapprove this request as written. And the reason for that is I don't see this board is, is all about a problem. He has no problems. He can work with a problem that he can work with this building to make this building applicable to where his needs. By virtue of what you said, he can move to the side, and he's willing to work with the neighbor, and obviously there's no regret to do that. No. So I make a recommendation or a motion to deny as written.
I'll second. Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny as written. All in favor of denial, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Sir, your motion is denied. And second to the last item on the agenda is an appeal to an interpretation of Lot A1A Henry Road. I believe we have someone here to speak. That you'd sign in and state your name and reason for your appeal, sir.
Good evening. My name is Joe Wiley. I'm here on behalf of Climate Store 8 LLC. We have taken exception to the letter opinion rendered by the zoning official, and we've argued that in a letter submitted by Keen Miller dated August 14, 2008, which I believe you all have a copy of. I will be happy to answer any questions that you might have about the basis for the appeal.
A quick question of legal.
Yes, sir.
Do we need to read into this your legal opinion?
No, you just reverse the opinion. That's all you have to do.
Okay.
If you want to reverse it, you just reverse it.
And that's fine. You're trying to keep us straight.
Continues to have mixed use.
Can we hear from Lance and why he interpreted this way?
Lance says no.
Well, Lance, you don't have a choice. I want to know why you based it.
My decision was based on on the ordinance, the way I interpret it, and y'all have that information in front of you, and that was my interpretation.
Well, as a comment, I've read the ordinance, and I agree there's some ambiguity there, and I've thought about this long and hard, and I can make an argument to support your interpretation, and I can make an equally strong argument to disagree with your interpretation. I think the real root of the problem here is we have an ordinance that needs to be fixed. However, that's not something that this board can do. That's a council issue. Do any of the board members have any comments, questions, statements regarding this that we can bring out to the table and discuss?
Yes, sir.
I mean,
No. I didn't start the clock on this one.
ultimately what you're saying is if one person owns 56% and the other lot is 44%, they buy that 44%, it's all zone mixed use. Okay, but then I want to split the 44% off, or a little bit less than the 44% off. I want it to retain mixed use.
Right.
Whereas if I would have bought that property before somebody else had just bought it, it would still be residential.
No,
medium
because
intensive.
it was residential at the time the zoning ordinance was adopted. I'm sorry, it was mixed use at the time the zoning ordinance was adopted, and it retains that character until something happens by ordinance to change it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the ordinance does not address what happens if you take a big lot, and subdivide it.
Exactly.
And therein is the crux of the question.
There's really Brad, there's a missing portion there that wasn't accounted for when the ordinance was originally drafted. It's our position that, you know, and Lance's too, that as of today even, that total tract, I think it's called A1, is mixed use. What the ordinance does not provide for is what happens when you subdivide that tract. It's our position that the tract, each piece of ground, each square inch of that ground, as of the adoption of the ordinance, I believe in '97, became mixed use. And it takes some act of the parish to change that. And subdividing it isn't one of those acts, at least at this time, under the current provision of the ordinance.
But almost would it be like if you're splitting it off, it's no longer grandfathered in type thing, or are we saying it's a grand?
I don't really see this as a grandfathering issue. It's just that that's what the property is designated as under the zoning ordinance. It's designated as mixed use. So it has to be some act on the part of the parish, at least that's our interpretation, that to change that. And there's not a provision that says if you subdivide it, the subdivided land takes on the characteristic of the area in which it falls. Now, one of the things, Mr. Walker, that you may be struggling with that took me a little bit to understand, but you got to remember when the zoning ordinance is passed, the planners are looking at the entire parish in very large parcels and tracts. And when they draw these lines that separate different zoning classifications, it would take an immense level of effort, or would have taken an immense level of effort at that time, to go in and have engineers or surveyors draw these maps in such a way that it followed the tracks. So that's why you have occasions where these boundary lines between zoning classifications cross these tracks. It was just too big a financial burden to go in and try to designate those lines in accordance with tract boundaries. But you can reconcile the fact that it's going to stay mixed use with that the planners were looking at big pictures. And they were basically saying, in the area where this tract is, we're okay with it being mixed use. And then the ordinance goes forward and says, and if 51%. If 51% of the tract, because we know we're going to cross a bunch of tracts in different areas, and if more than 50% is in one area, then that's the designation we want it to take. And it's just a way economically to draw those lines across the whole parish and not have to go into each area and follow boundaries. We think it's a fair result and in tune with what the planners intended, was that this area of Ascension Parish be designated mixed use.
Well, I think I'm having the same problem that Brad is on it. If the distance from 73, and if you were keeping it a whole tract, yes, I would agree that 51% of the property, whatever that is, should control the entire lot. But once you start subdividing it off, and then if we go in and later you subdivide the 44% even further, how minuscule do we bring this down before the zoning changes on it?
Well, you're still subject to the lot size restrictions that appear in other areas.
I realize that, but
I know, but like even when we're talking about where the planners may have thought they wanted to do it, and that technically the planners, when they thought of it, yes, they want this portion mixed use, but then they drew the line there so that possibly the remaining would be resident medium intensity. So therefore, if we're splitting it up, we would be more toward the planners' original plan would be for that back lot to be medium intensity versus mixed use.
Well, you got to go back to the tenet that we make the rules and we go by those rules until they're changed. And there may be some discussion or disagreement about what the result is, but we think it's clear that the rule today says that that's a mixed use tract. It was mixed use in '97, and there's been no parish action to change that. That's the part that we think is clear. What the intent was may be a little hazy. There may be some disagreement about what the effect is, but you can't change the rule because you don't like it.
Well, I know, but you're saying that even in '97, it was a whole piece. So 56% of that whole piece was mixed use, so that whole lot became there in '97 when they instituted zoning.
That's what the ordinance says.
Right.
Right.
So all the parcel that's in the residential area in '97 was designated by the parish as mixed use. according to the ordinance. Because there's not anything in the ordinance that says later if you subdivide this, it changes its character. That's what Lance would like for it to say, perhaps, or that's how he interprets it, but we disagree that it says that. There's nothing there that says if you subdivide it, then the subdivided portion takes on the classification in which it falls. That's the part that's not in the ordinance. According to Lance's letter opinion, he says, and I'm going to quote here for just a second, once subdividing of property occurred, depending on where lines were drawn and new lots created, the calculation or percentages will change. That's not supported by the ordinance. We're not saying that would be a bad rule. It's just nothing in the ordinance that says that. One of the things I would offer is that Ms. Desideer, any consternation you'd have about the fact that this could be possibly medium intensity residential is that if it wasn't subdivided and if Climate Store was an owner of the entire tract A1, then subject to whatever other rules there would be, this whole tract could be climate controlled mini storage.
I understand that part.
So it's not like the reading creates any situation that's more onerous than it would be otherwise.
Well, I guess my problem is that the change was made and the overlays were put in so that 660 feet from Louisiana Highway 73 would be the mixed usage. And I think that what I'm afraid of is that we may get into even larger tracts of land that are even affected with different overlays. And if we're talking about a 2,000 acre tract, where do we stop with it?
That's not our issue.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is whatever we decide, we're setting a precedence. And whether we're talking about 2,000 acres affected in one tract that somebody's going to come in and subdivide, or smaller land usage, I want to make sure that I'm not doing something that I feel, I don't know that I've seen anything where these should be grandfathered in and just continued. So I guess I'm questioning.
I think the focus of our issue here is whether we're going to uphold Lance's opinion with our understanding of the ordinance. And that's really the question. We're not trying to change. We can't change the ordinance. We may not even agree with it. But we really have to focus down here is Lance's interpretation or his opinion in keeping with the letter of the ordinance. And I'll tell you that I have to say, as much as I don't care for it, I don't think his opinion is in keeping with the strict letter of the ordinance as written. I think the ordinance does have problems. But as written, I think that unit, that whole lot, the original lot size, is mixed use. And nothing that the purchaser did would change that, because it became mixed use in 1997 whenever those lines were drawn and the zoning was adopted.
And Ms. Desideer, this is not a situation where we're asking for relief or some adjustment where you could maybe get into policy issues about whether you want something or something else. If you're getting into those questions regarding the ordinance, then you're basically legislating.
Well, no, I'm not questioning that. But what I am questioning is I tend to agree with Lance on certain points in his letter. And I guess, just like every other piece of property in this parish that was affected by new zoning and new zoning laws and overlays that come into effect after 97. So I'm questioning
the problem that Lance has in his opinion, in our view, is that he cannot point to a provision in the ordinance that says when you subdivide property, that property then takes on the characteristic of the boundary or class where it falls. That's not provided for in the ordinance. Now, it's been my understanding that you guys were going to have some input from your legal counsel on this matter. I haven't heard that discussed at this time, but
That's why I asked legal if we need to read this in.
No, I mean, I provided it to the board members.
Not to public.
If this is not for public dissemination, that's why I was asking.
No, it's an opinion to the board members.
Okay. Well, we need to do something one way or the other. So if there's no further questions of relevance, does someone wish to step out and make a motion?
You got any further discussion, Brad?
No, because I'm technically in the same boat, so
Yeah,
If I vote
I am
for it or
too,
against
but
it.
then there again, I'm going to tell you to look at the ordinance.
Well, I mean, the ordinance, though, is not as clear. That's why we're here interpreting it. If it was clear one way or the other, we wouldn't even be here. I mean, that's basically why we're interpreting an opinion. If it was clear, it wouldn't be here. And two, if I understand the ordinance is not clear, okay, and legal and Lance are working on clearing it up, okay, but they're clearing it up closer to what Lance's opinion is versus the other opinion. If I make that, is that correct?
That's what we're working on, but you have to act on this ordinance and not what we're working on. And that's why we're
Well, I understand that, but what I'm saying is y'all
be changed.
Y'all clearing it up here, it's an interpretation that needs to be made one way or the other.
Right, because it's not black and white, it's very gray.
I agree with Ms. Desideer about the setting the precedence too. And I'm kind of like in a catch-22 here. It's hard to, I don't want to set precedence, but then I'm kind of giving no choice. Read this about 10 times.
Well, there's three possible outcomes here, and one of them we can uphold the opinion, or we can disagree with the opinion, or there is a possibility, because there's only four of us here, that it could be a tie vote, because there's no tiebreaker. There's four of us here tonight.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I don't know what would happen
What? There's no tie.
if there was a tie.
No, you only vote if there's a tie.
That's what I'm saying,
Not
but
a
if there was,
tie.
that's right.
You won't
Right.
vote.
So there's no tie.
So there's really only two options. Well, I want to say this, and then you guys do what you're going to do, make your motion. I think if this goes into a court of law, I think the judge is going to say no, that he's going to say the ordinance is in error, and he's going to grant the use of the land as if it had not been subdivided. Just telling you what I think. I think that's what's going to happen in a court of law if it goes there.
What was the length of time it was not subdivided? When did it get subdivided? You know?
3/9 of 77. Well, yeah, 3/9 of 77. It was just subdivided. 07.
So it was subdivided March of last year, according to, if I'm reading this right, on the subdivided plat signed by what I believe to be Michael Marchand.
Well, this was another argument that we didn't discuss today, but it's included in Mr. Charpentier's letter, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, is the zoning map that's dated 3907, the subdivision map, I should say. If you'll note, there's general notes, and it shows that the subdivided tract at issue A1A, that they're all designated as mixed use. And that map was approved by the chairman of the Parish Planning Commission on the 9th of March. I believe, I'm not sure if my client owned the property before, but I had some information indicating that they bought at that time based on the zoning designation. So you do have a problem with, someone relying on an approved map that's designated mixed use by the Parish Planning Commission.
When did your client buy?
Our letter on page 2 says that Climate Store 8 purchased lot A1A with the intention of constructing the facility. So I would take that to mean that they bought the property after A1A was created by this map dated March 9th. A1A didn't exist before that map.
And Lance's opinion is based on the March 13th, 08 zoning maps, correct, Lance? And
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
know if your clients bought after March 13th, 08 or prior to that date?
I don't know the date of acquisition. September 7th, thanks.
When did your,
According to Mr. Charpentier's letter on page 2, at the first paragraph, they purchased A1A September 7th of 07.
Which was after the subdivided map was signed and approved by the Planning Commission of Ascension Parish, which is dated 3/9 of 07.
See, to me too, it's like this is a loophole because there was a lot of people in the parish didn't like their land all of a sudden becoming zoned after the fact. You know, you had one thing you could do whatever you want with it, and then all of a sudden zoning came in and, you know, restricted you. That's basically what we're saying here. This person doesn't like that this zoned area is, you know, medium intensity. So I'd like to use a loophole to go back to mixed use.
Also keep in mind, had this land not been subdivided, that whole lot could have been used as mixed use.
yeah, and there wouldn't have been a question on
That's
it.
right.
But like I said, the problem is that it is subdivided and it is past the boundary of mixed use. It is past the 660 feet.
Oh, I agree.
And I think
So,
I can make an argument both ways.
I think I think to me the ordinance was created more to combine land than it was to split it up.
right.
I think it was used to, you know, offer bigger areas and do bigger things than starting to split things up. Because in this case, then anybody can go buy a couple of lots with as long as mixed use is a little bit there, and then all of a sudden then split them back up. And of course, mixed use has no square footage requirement whatsoever.
Well, I think no, you would have to have at least 51% of it to be mixed use. You just can't buy a little piece and add into like that. That's an incorrect statement that would occur.
Yeah, but you're talking about just two lots. One has to be 51, and
No. The lot line, the whole tract would have had to have been designated one way. I think you're getting beyond the point of, and I think you got to rely on the ordinance. And that would.
Okay. The only thing that is leaning me, I guess, to go ahead and ruling against Lance is the September 7th, 2007 purchase date. Otherwise, I don't, you know, if they'd have purchased it after the March 13th, 08 date, I would have said that Lance was completely correct. I don't like it. I think it does need to be something that's corrected.
I think there's many issues in this matter that the commission needs to look at in that particular base, because there are all those things would be interpreted against the parish.
Well, I realize that, and, you know, I don't like that because the parish isn't this faceless, nameless people that don't get hurt, that sometimes the legal system wants to look at us as. But I guess I will go ahead and move that due to the September 7th, 2007 purchase date, I would agree that this be considered mixed usage.
I'd like to offer a comment to that, because I think to do anything other than what the motion that Ms. Desadier is proposing would unfairly penalize someone who bought some land based on the best available documents that are duly signed by the parish. That may or may not be right, but it would unfairly penalize them for something that they did not do.
Well, I think anything that's purchased after the new maps, if they don't look at the new maps, then buyer beware.
Do I hear a second to Ms. Desidier's motion?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to overturn the interpretation by the Ascension Parish Department of Zoning. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You said aye as well. So we've been unanimous. The voting members, sir, the opinion is overturned. The Lot A1A is mixed use.
I'd like to make a personal comment.
Certainly.
I think this definitely needs to be revised. I think our councilmen need to get on this, or we're going to see a lot more of this in the near future, because we're going to start being micromanaging
Huge lots.
on
Huge
lots.
We have one more item of business tonight. That's our Board of Adjustment, and I still don't know what to call them, bylaws or guidelines or whatever. The one error that was made as far as the number for the quorum has been corrected. Other than that, they're exactly the same as previously agreed to. If we approve these, I was going to have the zoning and planning people type them up on the appropriate letterhead for the official signature. So at this point, if everyone is still in agreement.
I'm in agreement, but I also had heard previous that this is supposed to be up for public scrutiny, and we have not put this out in the newspaper stating that this was available for the public to review. That said, I really...
Legal, can we get a interpretation on that?
I don't think this, I've read those bylaws. I think they're just the inner workings of the Board of Adjustments. We're not changing or setting any deadlines or anything like that, like they try to do in planning and zoning. And so I don't think that's a real appropriate matter in this particular case. It's just it's your internal rules and regulations, and you're not setting deadlines and things like that, like some of these other bylaws do. So I don't really think that's necessary.
There again, there's not a problem that we just wait till next month and have them put in the paper, just so it doesn't look like we're hiding anything.
Because I want that, like Mr. had said, that I'd rather have it be publicized. That way we can't lose.
It's your choice.
That's right. There's no harm to that.
And what's the difference with another 30 days?
We've come this far.
Yep.
And I don't like I do, Mr. Chairman, I like to be called guidelines, not bylaws.
I'll make a motion to move them to the October 28th meeting for adoption.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Obviously, it's going to pass. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Zoning and planning, you'll take care of getting these properly published as per the will of the board?
Yes.
Okay. And then this will be an item for the October 28th meeting. Okay, having said all that, is there anything else somebody wishes to bring up? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Obviously, everybody's going to say aye to that. Thank you for coming. I appreciate everybody's efforts. And good night to all.